I'm Grace Vandenberg. If you know me by now and have been following me for some time, you'll know I'm very much about wellness and personal health care. That I'm all about motivation and productivity and the ways to keep it all topped up. So the most requested question after my skincare routine was, what do I do to achieve and maintain my daily wellness? So as always, I'm going to start at the beginning. I wake up around 5 a.m. usually, but in the dead of winter a little later sometimes. Sometimes it's just too cold to dare to get up. I air my bed by pulling down the quilts. I wash, then sit with a cup of morning tea or coffee and catch up on the news while my puppies usually lay by my feet in their little beds. After, I make my bed and always give it a general spray of fabric mist, which I always contribute to make me feel nice and cozy from the get-go. The fragrance changes from season to season. A rule of thumb, I usually prefer rose, jasmine, lavender, or muscular scents, spicier and sweet this particular time of year. In short, anything that encapsulates France and Italy. That just so happens to be where my heart belongs. Like the French, I don't do trends. No trendy fashion outfits, perfumes, makeup, or home decor. I'm all about the long run. Then I get in my first class of yoga of the day, usually depending on the day. That can be anything from 20 minutes to an hour. And after that I start drinking water. During spring and summer I can drink as much as 3 to 4 liters per day. Winter, 2 to 3. The dead of winter, meaning minus something or other, and there's snow outside, I stick to around 2 liters, but never less than 2. I try to avoid that chill. Then I start writing. Breakfast, you might ask. Nutrition. Well, I don't eat breakfast. For many years, I followed intermittent fasting. So to go back to the very beginning on this particular topic, I used to be anorexic. Twice, in fact. The first time I was diagnosed as clinically anorexic, I was 5 years old. And that was after my mother passed away from breast cancer. As a child, I didn't understand death, and so my grieving process was very different to those around me who were older and understood what was happening. Second, I was in my teens. I had gone through a lot of childhood trauma, and after years of name-calling, I became obsessed with not eating, well, anything, attaching a guilt label to everything I consumed, including water back then. I'd go for as long as 5 days straight without eating anything. After I met my husband to help me get better, though it was still years into my 20s that I was very disciplined and started to try different diets instead of starvation. That's when I found that intermittent dieting worked best for my body and brain functionality. So I tend to go without food for a straight 18 to 20 hours and eat within that 4 to 6 hour frame. My first meal of the day is consumed between noon and 1 p.m. This depends on how hungry I am and when I feel like I could eat or I need to eat. I'll try to put it off for as long as possible. That's most days, but I will miss it from time to time depending on deadlines for my work. Generally, I will do a HIIT or weight training or calisthenic workouts. Afterwards, I tend to eat. I'm a creature of habit. I find it easier to stay restricted and don't usually get bored unless I've been eating the same thing day in and day out for months and months. But I usually enjoy eating the same thing day in and day out for quite a few months straight, to be perfectly honest. I find this the best way to take the stress out of worrying what I'm going to eat and the guesswork of how much. And it also takes the stress of me with my work routine. In winter, I tend to have 2 scrambled eggs with 1 piece of toast. Eggs cooked in a tiny dash of butter and lots of black pepper. I'm heavy on the black pepper for everything. I'm just that kind of gal. And the toast is buttered in a restricted portion of butter too. Something I would never have done or even considered when I was younger. Other days I'll have an English muffin, toasted and buttered, with mashed avocado, black pepper of course, a pinch of sea salt, and 1 poached egg. Yolk's always runny. Enough to make me comfortably full without feeling stuffed, but keeps me warm on those frosty days. Other days I might have fish, rice, eggs and green vegetables. Whatever green vegetables I tend to have to hand, namely French beans. After, I tend to take my thyroid medication. Within half an hour of that, I'll make a pot of strong black coffee in the percolator, providing me 2 cups of coffee. I do this not just for the enjoyable of the flavour, but also to help with the loo runs too. If anybody has been diagnosed with underactive thyroid, you probably know where I'm coming from with that. Just to interject at this point, 2 things I've changed in recent years about my routine is, first I stopped wearing makeup every day. Now I wash my face in the morning and I don't feel the products from the night before. And I leave my skin to air. Before, I always washed and immediately applied skincare. I stopped doing that. Secondly, I took French dermatologist's advice. If you apply a liberal amount of skincare the night before and you feel it still feels good in the morning, don't wash your face, you're washing away product and your money down the drain. In this case, I take a face cloth, run it onto the tap and wipe my eyes to refresh. On days when I feel that my skin has soaked up all my product, I wash my face and still allow it to air dry, allowing my own natural oils to come to the surface. Later afternoon, around 5 p.m, maybe 6, I wash my face again and apply a more generous application of various skincare to my face and décolleté. During the colder days, I tend to make many more one-pot wonders for a few reasons. First, time, I guess. I usually have deadlines and I don't always have the luxury to be able to spend 3 hours in the kitchen nurturing a joint of meat, though I do on special occasions. Second, I don't eat an awful lot. 3, one-pot wonders are incredibly quick, but convenient way of getting all your healthy foods in one place, in one go, and add warmth and comforting into your equation too. I love salads and I eat salads and fruit salads throughout spring and summer, but when it's below 0, as much as I love them, they can be challenging to consume and not as enjoyable. In order to get all my veggies, I make lots of roasted vegetable soups and blend them up. The plus side, I have loads in reserve and it lasts up to a week in the fridge, and I can take a bowl for lunch and dinner. And is also financially kind in the pocket too. Now more than ever, with the living crisis occurring in so many countries around the globe, it also is beneficial on the economic usage of electricity. You're using your own oven once or twice a week to make the soup, or a one-pot wonder, which also helps to heat your home, not needing to put on that heater switch. Then the blender, and then you can heat up a bowl of the soup in the microwave rather than the hob. So 2 to 3 minutes in the microwave is much more financially sustainable than 20 minutes on a hob. The French have a saying that always makes me smile: we work to live, not live to work. The same is applied with foods. They eat all full fats but portion control. For most of my life, until I lived in France actually, I had this hatred for full fat food, until living in France educated me. All the goodness is in the full fat, and in half fat and no fat foods that have been processed. You're eating food to fill you up, but not getting the nutrients from your substances. So we spend more money on vitamins and supplements, which are often too much artificial. With that, we're giving our bodies extra complicated chemicals to digest, rather than the natural. Since I changed this in my diet and my philosophy towards food and eating in general, I have noticed a huge difference in my skin, my sleeping pattern, and my overall health. And again, if anyone has an underactive thyroid, you know sometimes our attention can be a little bit lacking, but I've also found that taking on the French philosophy has helped there too. In the evening, after all my work is done and it's time to chillax, I wash my face again or shower. I use a facial steamer for 10 to 15 minutes most days. I'd gotten into the habit of using it daily, even twice daily, especially after washing off makeup to give it a good thorough clean. But 15 minutes twice or once a day was giving me sensitivity, and over the course of a few days it was quite painful, so I pulled back. Where I wouldn't have necessarily done this years ago, I now more than ever listen to my body and let it lead me. And of course, as diligent as I am, I use a liberal amount of products, which I'll go in a separate video. My husband bought me a seat massager, designed to use when I'm at my desk. But instead of using it on the seat, I lay it flat on the floor or bed and lay on it, allowing it to pulsate and target even my head. And I enjoy for 15 minutes. Then another session of evening yoga for maybe another 15 to 45 minutes, depending on how much I got in earlier that day. After that, I might have a glass of wine, but not every day. Watch television with my husband and puppies, or watch a podcast if we can't agree on something we can watch together, and cuddle down not with one but 2 hot water bottles. If I'm not interested in anything that's on, or I'm too tired to watch anything educational, I read something instead. The evening time is when I get to organise my following day on my calendar, set up my tasks for the next day and week, and check off all completed tasks from that day. At the end of my workday, I always clean my desk and tidy my office. This has served me well. One of the most crucial things I do that is highly beneficial for my wellness is the simple task of cleaning my house and keeping things smelling fresh and clean and organised. Every room is in order, every bed made, every bag of garbage removed to outside where it belongs. I don't live the minimalistic lifestyle, nor do I believe in hoarding. I believe in being clean in body, mind and home, but not OTT. I don't believe in doing anything OTT, not anymore. I believe in enjoying a little of everything, be it in diet, exercise, travel, culture, or whatever you have. I believe in being open-minded and tolerant to the things we don't understand. I believe we should all know ourselves so well we aren't blinded to our own faults, failings, imperfections, and weaknesses. Not to obsess over them, but to fix what we can, when we can. I believe in searching for that quiet place in all of us where we drown out all the chaos from around us by learning to be in control of our minds and bodies and environments. Taking control of ourselves is the greatest gift for peace, but also aiding an overall practice of wellness. Every night I spend an unspecific time on reflection to measure myself and who I still wish to become. Every morning, every night, I take the time to look at my mother's photograph, which I have on my bedside of my bed, and talk to her. I take the time to give the woman love who loved me the most in the world. I take the time to remember that love and feel it all over again every day. This is how I live my life. It's taken a long time to live in peace, and now that I do, I wouldn't change it for the world. Right now, I'm in the best place I've ever been. I accredit this to constant daily effort and the manifestation of the future I'm journeying towards. I truly, humbly wish this for you. If you are ready to achieve this, please do share with our growing community and reach out and help someone who might need it most today. Until next time, I'm Grace Vandenberg.